Hey guys, and welcome to a heroic showdown between two legendary folk. On the left hand side we have Grombrindal, the king of the Dowie, has returned up against his nemesis Sergeant Spaghetti. These guys are both fantastic good friends and Dowie mains here. So it'll be interesting to see. It's always kind of fun playing against your own faction because obviously you know their weaknesses. So I'm certainly expecting a trick or two up the sleeve of the Norscan forces. But first and foremost, let's go through Grombrindal's build. And of course, for his lord, he has of course brought Grombrindal. I wonder if he does bring other lords or if he always goes for his namesake here. I'd hope to think he always brings the mighty beast himself. He's going to come in with the rune axe of Grombrindal, an item. I don't see Tebloton at all. We also have Flash Bomb. Grombrindal has no fear. And of course, he is unbreakable. Rolling Dirty alongside a runesmith who is going to be coming in with the rather humble Rune of Wrath and Ruin. Apart from that, his main battle line is going to be made up of Dwarf Warriors mixed in with Miners with Blasting Charges. Of course, Blasting Charges are going to do fantastic up against the lightly armoured Marauder Infantry. And in the back lines, we have some more elite Dowie folk in the form of Longbeards, as well as Norgremlin's Ironbreakers, one of the most bad to the bones elite Dowie units in the universe. Their red colour scheme always looks incredibly regal and gangster at the same time. In the central pocket, we do have Dragonback Slayers mixed in with some more basic Slayers, so no giant ones here, unfortunately. And we have a couple of contingents. We've got some Thunderers as well as some Rangers in this nice little centre. Looks like there's another Ranger off to the left hand side as well. So a really tight, compact Dowie build. Nothing too flashy, but all the good basic stuff. Now, Sergeant Spaghetti is going for the complete opposite. He's gone incredibly wide. Marauder champions with great weapons, Marauders with great weapons, all mixed in together along this glorious front line. So going far, far wider than the tighter Dowie formation. In the back lines, we have Marauder Hunters. Now, Hunters are actually pretty good here. So these guys have the thrown axes, giving them really decent AEP. Now, they are very short range, however, so you have to get right up in the face of the enemy. I believe they have Shield Breaker and not too bad in melee as well. Leading the forces today, we have Wulfric of the Wanderer. Now, you may be wondering, why did you bring such a gigantic beastie up against the Dowie? They have Slayers and a lot of guns. Well, that is for the simple fact, apart from those units, it will destroy literally everything else. It can even go on top of the guns as well. So if you can get rid of the Slayers, this beastie can indeed carry. He, of course, is going to be coming in with the Sea Fang, Fight or Die, as well as Hunter of Champions. On the flanks, we have a couple of Norscan Warhounds just trying to poke and get into the enemy back line, and some Marauder Horsemen with thrown axes on this right-hand side. Decent AP, but once again, their main goal is for me to assassinate the Slayers, therefore allowing Wulfric to kind of carry the day. We also have a mage. It looks like we have a Shaman Sorcerer of Fire coming in simply with FLAMESTORM. Now, FLAMESTORM, again, is very good because it does big armor-piercing damage, I believe, or just does huge damage in general, and despite the fire damage, or the magic damage, sorry, it should do a decent job up against the Dowie. Of course, we do have magic resistance. It looks like Marauders with weapons are currently the target of the enemy bolts and bullets, but that's completely fine for them. As long as the Marauder champions get in, I'm sure he won't mind too much, although it looks like the champions are suffering a little bit now under the wrath of Grombrindal's firepower. Blasting Charges are going in. Nice little juke back, though, by the Marauders with great weapons, allowing the second unit to get in here. Looks like the Blasting Charge is still going after that first one, and in come the Marauder Hunters. Focus firing down the front line to start with. Of course, they do lack range here. They need something to shut down the enemy back line, otherwise they are going to get absolutely deleted. Marauders, as well as champions, do now emerge and batter into the Longbeard line. Great play, though, dragging back the Miners, who still have some blasting charges, so they can now turn around and launch shots in. Beautiful micro there by the Dowie player. However, in comes a fat FLAMESTORM. It is devouring Thunderers as it goes, and oh no, it may sweep over onto the second unit of Rangers as, oh, this is disgusting. This is disgusting. 2 units being broken off the field. The Ephraim boat come down as well, taking out a third Thunderer. Beautiful play so far by the Norscan forces. The front line is really starting to suffer. Wulfric needs to be far more aggressive than he currently is. Chuck him straight down the gullet here. Get him on top of those Thunderers and those Rangers and start pressuring them. Maybe he's a little worried about the smoke bomb, however. And that FLAMESTORM is still going. 2 units completely destroyed. And they may even go through the Norgrim's Ironbreakers, although, of course, they are a little bit more sturdy folk. In the distance, Warhounds have managed to sneak into the back line. Good kiting as well. You need to continue this. Pull these Warhounds out and distract the Slayers as much as possible, as they're desperately needed here in the main fight. And where's Wulfric? He's vibing at the back. He definitely wants to be getting right in here at the moment, hunting down the enemy. Is there any Slayers in the centre? It doesn't look like it. Yeah, he can simply pop in. It looks like the Slayers have been a little distracted by enemy cavalry troops. Perhaps he's waiting for them to be done for good. Marauder Horsemen are getting into the back line as well. Hopping top of Rangers are now pouring into this central area, as well as a good play of the Norscan Warhounds force off some Miners with blasting charges. Very close game so far. The Hunters are continuing to fire in their axes, breaking down that Dwarf Warrior front line, which will hopefully allow the Marauders with great weapons to start pouring into the Thunderers. But it looks like for the most part, Grombrindal has managed to secure his back line, which is really good play by him. Runesmith, as well as the White Dwarf, chasing that Shaman Sorcerer booty. They certainly are big fans of it. he should be able to continue to kite and force himself back into safety unless that smoke bomb does come up in time. But now these guys are dragged away from the main fight. Wulfric is going to take this opportunity to ramrod in, going to shunt down the Thunderers as well as the Ironbreakers. They'd be absolutely perfect for doing such things. The Warhounds as well continue to chase down enemy units which are running for the hills. Looks like the Slayers have realised their mistake and are rushing back. These Warhounds need to loop back around and once again apply some pressure, and the Hunters can even do a good job for them. But it looks like Norsca are starting to stabilise their middle formation. As you can see, pushing through the Champions as well as the Marauders. Need to just hammer down this side. It looks like we have a second Flamestorm coming down, and will it be as successful as the first one? I think it'll be pretty tough to match that level, but it is doing some pretty good work, absolutely roasting those Rangers and helping finish off some Longbeards, and it may well pull over here onto these miners with blasting charges. More the Hunters, though, not such big fans of getting exploded by fiery heat of death. Nice little box here from the Hunters, a nice little kind of arc firing in, doing some pretty decent damage onto Nogram's Ironbreakers, but they honestly really just need to target down the Slayers wherever they can find them, and here they are in on the approaches. They'll be able to deal with Wulfric no problems. Runesmith has now got into a fight with the Shaman Sorcerer, knocking him over on his arse after he did pop Rune of Wrath and Ruin. And the Sorcerer looks like he might turn to engage us in the ultimate fight. Big epic battle going behind us. None of that's important. It's all about the heroic duel between two wizards. Or, I suppose the Runesmith, he probably won't be like being called a wizard too much. Wulfric is pulling over to this flank now, trying to escape the Ironbreakers, but more importantly, escape the Slayers, who are currently eating a ton of axes to the face. Longbeards as well are being beaten back in combat by some of the Hunters, as I said earlier on. They're pretty decent melee combatants all round. Good consistent play as well with the Warhounds. Oh, no, they just stopped. They need to hop on top of these Thunderers, and they're going to do just that. Brilliant play. Hunt these guys down. They can come back and be a real threat. He seems to kite with Wulfric at the moment. Hunt down these Rangers as they are like isolated at the moment. Ignore this mobile death blob of Dowie troops. Allow the Hunters to really whittle them down over time, but certainly easier said than done. Miners are starting to push into the back lines, as well as some more Slayers who have returned to the field. Will be hunting down the Hunters, so how the tables have turned. Hunters with their dual wielding axes, though, should be able to give back some damage, though for the most part they are kind of just vibing and looking the other direction, just accepting their fate, which isn't the real Norscan way to go. Marauders to Grapers can even get in here and just start whittling down the Slayers where possible. Leave the rest for Wulfric, just get rid of the Slayers for now. Back Slayers are charging in, though, with an absolute Abaddon here. So, yes, get them! Hunting down at Wulfric the Wanderer, and if they get able to make contact with him, he is moving through Slayers. They will be able to slow him down, hopefully drag him down to a watery grave, or a earthy grave, I suppose, in this aspect. Marauder Champions not doing too bad a job, though, up against the Ironbreakers, as well as Grombrindle. These are good targets for them. Grombrindle has popped the Rune Axe, so that lower leadership, quite nice here, because Marauders in general, or Norscans in general, I should say, do have relatively poor leadership. Nice use of Horsemen here, chasing off 3 routing units. Should be able to chase them to the edge of the battle, which isn't too far away. Hounds in the distance as well, starting to mop up troops. This is a disgustingly close game. It's really hard to call which way this is going to go. I think the Dowie is very slightly in an advantage at the moment. Although the Dragonback Slayers are really bunched up, and if this boat goes through them, oh, that's a lot of dead Slayers taking a not too happy grave. But actually, a lot of them get back up again. If the Norscans can kite, though, and pull apart these Slayers, Wulfric should be able to carry. Grombrindle is a mighty beast, though, and you don't want to go in one-on-one with him unsupported. A lot of forces on both sides are starting to break. Marauder Champions have completely shattered at this point, which is really bad news for them. They're one of the elite troops who can drag down Grombrindle. Marauder Horsemen are dueling Rangers on the edge of the battlefield, and elsewhere we have more Hounds returning to the fray. It might honestly not be the worst idea, just chuck them in against Slayers. There's a 5 over here, finish off this unit, then jump in here, save the Hunters, and they can then turn and engage and throw some of those glorious axes back in. Is there any more axes on the field? It looks like these Hunters, 33 of them, have really decent ammunition, consistently cobying those axes into the back of the Ironbreakers, who've taken so much heat and damage. But a master, or your normal Rune of Wrath and Ruin, I should say, did slow down the Hunters enough that they were in the end caught, which is an absolute disaster. That ammunition could have been pivotal. How are the Ironbreakers actually doing? 140 kills, Jesus. But not on anything too insane so far either, so not the best damage value yet. A big fat flash bomb does go down, pinning in Wulfric. These Hounds, unfortunately, are going to have to sacrifice their lives onto Grombrindle to try and allow Wulfric to escape. But the Thunderers, or the Dragonback Slayers, sorry, are in hot pursuit, and I don't think they're going to be able to escape. The Doggos do a fantastic job butchering pretty much all those units and hold them all in their paths. But looks like Wulfric is going to decide to turn and fight this. Fighter die popped on the Hounds and a Hunter of Champions. If you can come in here and assassinate Grombrindle, perhaps there is hope. The Warhounds did a decent job chewing their way through some of the Slayers, and the Hunters have emerged, but it's looking a little rough. Wulfric, now that he is free from the Hunter of Champions, may decide to flee, but or from this flash bomb, sorry. Hunter Champions is still active, though needs to be punching Grombrindle. Instead, he is punching the Jamback Slayer, so very beat up at this moment. Wolf of the Wanderer, 110 kills, an absolute linebacker so far, but his leadership is 0. It's wavering. He needs the support of his people, but it looks like because of the rest of the build was finished, Army Losses kicks in, and after 1 or 2 big cleaving strikes from the White Dwarf, Wulfric does flee the field. Now, of course, he survives, so you can always come back and fight another day. That is the best way to beat Dowie. There's not too many of them, so continue to fight. Very well played to these two Sons of the Mountain, Grombrindle and Sergeant Spaghetti. They always send me in really awesome replays. Always great when they go up against each other as well, because the game is going to be top tier. Hope you guys enjoyed. Before we do break down the damage value and good old damage dealt. If you did enjoy, feel free to give the video a big old thumbs up. It really helps push it out to more people. You can also subscribe for more Total War Warhammer content. We do up new stuff every single day, as well as a couple of streams during the week, normally 1 or 2, or sometimes even 3 if you're lucky. You can join my Discord. There's a link down below. The link hasn't been working for a while. Same to links to like donations, patrons, and all that kind of stuff. I don't know why when you copy and paste them across sometimes YouTube just doesn't seem to like it, but I have reset them for this video, so have no fear. And yeah, if you want to see replays up on the channel, feel free to join my Discord, and you can send replays there and get involved in tournaments. But anyway, for the build, Sergeant Spaghetti, Wulfric the Wanderer, Mighty Beast, 10k damage dealt, 110 kills, 1.8k damage value. Very impressive stuff there for the Beast. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to get on top of the top tides. I think he needs to be a little more aggressive. At the same time, I understand trying to delay the engagement, finish up the Slayers, then committing Wulfric when you're guaranteed the win. But I think when the Slayers were distracted over on the left-hand side and a little further back, he should have got in there, got super aggressive and hunted down those fools. I mean, yes, Grombrindle may have been able to pop a smoke bomb on him, or flash bomb. Simply Hunter Champions him back and then have a good old fat duel. But despite that, really good play all round. That Shaman Sorcerer of Fire, that was some crispy Flamestorm. One of the best ones I've seen in a long time. Took out 2 complete full units of Dwarf Warriors. 12,000 damage dealt, 1,700 damage value. Yeah, the Thunderers and Rangers, I believe, was who that run over, weren't having a good day. Apart from that, rolls in the front line, some of them did okay, others really suffered due to the blasting charges. And I love having the blasting charges actually in the front line, volleying the first blasting charges off to do that damage, and falling back behind the warriors, and then turning and cobing the second one. That was a really cool tactic, which caught these marauders unawares. It looks like the champions were, one did pretty good, 1k damage value and 8,321 damage dealt. The other fed far poorer, 420. So the infantry in general for the forces of Sergeant Spaghetti really did struggle. As for the hunters though, 1k damage value on this unit, 569, 100, 300. Okay, so the one kind of overperformed. They got me a little bit hyped. The others did struggle. Marauder Horsemen did a good job hunting down troops, as did the Norscan Warhounds. Now for the forces of Grombrindle, of course, his namesake, the White Dwarf, did relatively solid, nearly 1,000 damage value, and was still pretty much full health by the end, so had plenty left to give, and showed that Manlin what's what as well in the end stages, going up with a heroic duel. And the Runesmith as well just had some really important runes of Wrath and Ruin, but obviously isn't going to get too much damage. Longbird did okay in the front line as well, just holding the line. Norgrim's Ironbreaker is very good, 1.2k damage value, 11,000 damage dealt, and really helped clear through the chaff of some of their blasting charges. And the Slayers, a little misplayed in the beginning parts of the game, but he wasn't like too heavily punished from them, where they kind of ran off after Warhounds, ran after Horsemen, but they came back in the late game and really did make a difference with some big damage value there, 1.2, 1.5, nice kills across the board as well. Rangers fared relatively well. They're pretty cheap. I believe they're 550 gold off the top of the head. That may be slightly wrong, but this one definitely would have paid for itself if that is the case. This one didn't, but the other one far did. So all around, good management with the ranged troops. This unit of Thunderers getting 820 damage value is pretty impressive. The other one, though, unfortunately for them, did get shut down. Monitor Blast Chargers did okay as well, just getting rid of some of the chaff, and all round a nice solid performance from the Dowie folk. Hope you guys enjoyed. Until next time, peace, peace, and as always, stay awesome.